I believe that Pittsburgh Steelers fans are too stuck in the Russell Wilson nostalgia to realize that this dude is not good anymore. I get that he's a former Super Bowl champion. He's one of the best quarterbacks of the 2010s. But you got to judge people for who they are and not judge people for what they used to be. You want to know the number one reasons why a lot of marriages are ending in divorces now? Because the person who people think they're marrying ends up changing into a person that they didn't intend to marry. People change. People get better over time, and some people get worse over time. And that's the case with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is 35 years old, and he's only getting worse. And I hate having to remind people this, but this dude was bad enough that the Denver Broncos were willing to take the NFL's largest dead cap hit in history to get rid of him. And this was with Sean Payton, the same dude who his final season in New Orleans had Jameis Winston playing efficient football. He's the only head coach who's been able to win with Jameis Winston. He was 5-1 at one point before Jameis went down with that season-ending injury, his final season in New Orleans, and yet he still was able to get a winning record out of the Saints with Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian at quarterback. So I'm definitely not finna act like Sean Payton was the reason why Russell Wilson failed in Denver. Sean Payton had to change his system around Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson struggles to throw the ball accurately in the middle of the field. His playing style has been all about getting outside the pocket, improvising, making all these wild throws downfield, using his athleticism to escape defensive linemen. But at his age, he doesn't have that same athletic ability to be able to make guys miss. He doesn't have the same elusiveness. Athleticism is a large part of Russell Wilson's game. Without that, he's not the same quarterback that you saw in Seattle, which means that he has to become a better pocket passer, something that Russell Wilson has never been known for. That's why he failed in Denver. You can say that Russell Wilson is walking into a better situation in Pittsburgh, but it's not as if Denver was a terrible situation either. It was a way better situation than what he had with Nathaniel Hackett. The offensive line was pretty solid. It's just that Russell Wilson, with him running around, trying to make things happen, missing open receivers on easy slants and out routes, being unable to be effective in the quick passing game. There were a lot of sacks that Russell Wilson took that was self-imposed because he took too long to get the ball out and he tried to do too much. That's why Sean Payton got tired of his ass and benched him the final couple of games of the season. And now he comes to Pittsburgh, and Steelers fans think that Mike Tomlin is going to be able to get a little bit of juice out of this dude, and he's going to be able to rewind the clock back to 2015 and 2016. Those days are over. And with Arthur Smith's system, I don't see Russell Wilson being a good fit. In Arthur Smith's system, which is predicated on the play action pass, you have to be able to throw in the middle of the field. Russell Wilson is scared to throw in the middle of the field. There also were plenty of times when he had guys wide open downfield, but he didn't want to take the chance to throw the ball downfield because he'd rather take the check down instead. What you're getting out of Russell Wilson this season is 2020 Ben Roethlisberger. Remember that? When Big Ben could only throw quick outs, drags, bubble screens, and slants. That's the same offense we could be seeing the Pittsburgh Steelers run with this year under Russell Wilson. When you get Russell Wilson as your quarterback, he's not one of those dudes who you just plug and play. You have to run the Russell Wilson offense. And the Russell Wilson offense, with the current stage that he's in of his career, doesn't win you a lot of football games. Miss me with the, JT, he had great stats. Oh, he had more touchdowns than Matthew Stafford, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson. Who cares about the stats? The stats lie. The stats would tell you that Russell Wilson was better than Matthew Stafford, Lamar, and Jalen Hurts last season, but who's a better quarterback? If the Steelers had a chance to pick between Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar, I guarantee you they wouldn't even be looking Russell Wilson's direction. If Russell Wilson was as good as Steelers fans think he can be this season, why is he playing on a veteran minimum? And why didn't nobody else but the New York Giants want him on his team? You can call me a hater, but I call myself being a realist, and I'm not about to buy into the off-season overly optimistic syndrome that Steeler fans are trying to sell me on. If Russell Wilson was good, I guarantee you he would still be the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. He was paid to play like an elite quarterback. So it doesn't matter if you felt like he didn't have a good situation, because when you get that kind of money, you are expected to elevate your team. And if you can't make it work with one of the greatest offensive minds in the history of this game, which, by the way, I would like to reiterate, he was able to have Jameis Winston playing efficient football his last season in New Orleans. If Sean Payton could be 5-1 with Jameis Winston, you mean to tell me that he was the reason Russell Wilson didn't work out? Why do we keep having to settle for below average quarterback play? Why do the Steelers continue to experiment with these has-beens at quarterback? We went from Big Ben, a future first ballot Hall of Famer, to Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Small Hands Pickett. And I told you guys that I didn't have confidence in neither one of those dudes, but y'all called me a hater though. And you're doing the same thing this season, buying into the same BS that the Steelers continue to do at quarterback, playing musical chairs, getting a temporary Band-Aid that only lasts about 3 minutes before you have to peel it off because it's ineffective. The glory days of Russell Wilson are gone. You keep bringing up how he was a former Super Bowl champion, how he was a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, how he was an MVP level quarterback at one point. Yeah, 5-6 years ago. What has Russell Wilson showed you lately? We live in a society that goes off, what have you done for me lately? Not what have you done for me the last decade. You have to live in the right now. You can't live in the history. And a lot of you Steeler fans are too stuck in the Russell Wilson nostalgia to realize that he's not a good quarterback anymore. Is he better than what the Steelers had last year? Yeah, but is that saying much? Because the Steelers still have the worst quarterback room in the AFC North. Oh, but JT, we almost swept the AFC North last year. Yeah, you beat the Cincinnati Bengals twice with Jake Browning at quarterback. When Joe Burrow is fully healthy, the Bengals are a contender to win the Super Bowl. Same thing with the Baltimore Ravens. That's why the Steelers continue to make it to the postseason and get sent home right back in the opening round. And you can say, oh, but how could you expect Mike Tomlin to beat the Buffalo Bills with Mason Rudolph? He picked Mason Rudolph. He's the reason why he can't get over the hump. We praise Mike Tomlin for being able to win with inferior quarterback play, but yet he's the same reason why he has to make life difficult for himself. It's kind of the equivalent to shooting yourself in the foot. You got to go to the hospital to get treatment for something that you did because it was self-inflicted. Mike Tomlin makes it hard to win with these terrible quarterback situations because he's the dude responsible for getting them. He may not have had full control of getting Kenny Pickett, but he definitely had the say in getting Mitch Trubisky. Remember, against the Indianapolis Colts, the week leading up to that game, and the post-production interviews that they did with Mike Tomlin, he told those broadcasters, he said, we're rolling with Mitch Trubisky because he has experience of being a franchise quarterback in this league. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Mike Tomlin thought Mitch Trubisky had what it took to be a serviceable starting quarterback. It didn't take him to the last month of last season to realize that Mason Rudolph was the best quarterback on this roster. Why should I give Mike Tomlin the benefit of a doubt that he's going to get it right with Russell Wilson when he's shown us time after time, ever since Big Ben has hung up the cleats, he's Stevie Wonder when it comes to assessing the quarterback position. I'm not buying into the hype with Russell Wilson. I'd much rather see Justin Fields out there. Justin Fields, is he better? Not really that much, but at least you can have a functional offense. You put Justin Fields out there, you're going to have One of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. Guaranteed. With Arthur Smith at the helm, this arguably could be the best rushing attack in the National Football League this year. You're not going to get anything out of Russell Wilson. He can't throw in the middle of the field. He isn't what he used to be when it comes to getting outside the pocket and making defenders miss. Russell Wilson is cooked. And I'm not expecting him to be the starter for too long in Pittsburgh. And I'm praying that Justin Fields wakes up and he just performs so well throughout the rest of this offseason that the Steelers have no choice but to start him this year, because he gives Pittsburgh the best chance to win. He may not be a great passer, but with his athletic ability, he's going to be good enough to lead the Steelers to a few more wins than what Russell Wilson is capable of doing. And I don't think that the Steelers are going to be good with either one this year. But if we're going to be trash this year, we might as well have a little bit of fun with it. At least with Justin Fields, you're going to get a little bit of flash in the pan. You're not going to get anything out of Russ. The old Russell Wilson that we saw in Seattle is gone. That's why they kicked him to the curb and they took the NFL's largest dead cap hit in league history to get rid of him. You don't do that if you're still a good quarterback, like how Steeler fans think Russell Wilson still is. He's not good anymore. He should retire and be a family man.